again, going over my top time saver tips while working in ZBrush. So the first thing I want to go over, all I've done is pull up ZBrush, by the way. There's no other tricks. I clicked on a sphere and light box, and that's where we're at. Anyway, so I go to Preferences and then Config. So this can be to configure your custom UI. If you're very new to ZBrush, you're probably like, I don't know, I want my custom UI to be. That's fine, but just know that this is here because it's essential. You're gonna have a certain workflow, and you're gonna wanna design your user interface to work around that. So what you do is click Enable Customize, and then your canvas gets a little smaller for whatever reason, and then you can start moving stuff around and adding components, which is pretty great. You hold Control and Alt to do that, which is kind of weird. So you can tell I'm kind of dragging stuff around. Again, I'm holding Control and Alt, and then I'm just kind of like moving stuff around. And then once you're done doing your customize, click on it again, and then it will become normal. If you want to save it, you'll hit Store Config. And then if you decide that you hate it, you can restore it, restore standard, or you can initialize ZBrush and then wipe everything. All right, so that's my number one time saver tip, is just customize your UI. You'll get more familiar with it, and it will really speed up your workflow. Now I want to go over like standard hotkeys that you really should know. It'll help you a lot. So if you press Q on your keyboard, you will be in sculpt mode or draw mode. And then if you're pressing W, you will enter transpose mode. So then I click on this and move it around. This is super helpful. So when I'm sculpting, I have one hand on my tablet and the other hand on my laptop, and I have my hand kind of resting in the far left end of my keyboard. So I have my middle finger on Q and my index finger on W, and I can kind of just click back and forth. And then this transitions very nicely into my third time saver tip about hotkeys, really. And that's because when my fingers are on Q and W, my thumb rests totally naturally on the spacebar. If you hold spacebar, this comes up, and this is super helpful. There's so much you can do here. So you can change your draw size, your focal shift, your intensity. You can change your brush if you want to as well. You can also go in between draw mode and move, again, which you can tell on the screen. It says Q and it says W at the top there. And you can also go into scale and rotate. I do that more so if I'm ever rigging my models, which I don't really do very often anyway. But again, if you just really hate doing Q and W, you can always do everything through spacebar pretty much. Another tip is that the little box that will show up when you hold spacebar will show up wherever your mouse is. So if my mouse is over here, spacebar, 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 which is great because when you have your pen in your hand, you don't want to move very far to change your draw size and that kind of stuff. Another tip that I have is for brushes. So if you press B on your keyboard, which is very close to the spacebar, see everything is very close and it's very nice. You can reconfigure your hotkeys if you like, but I found the default ones work really well for me. So you press B, your brush palette comes up. A lot of these brushes are not standard. I went through and I loaded a lot of new ones and deleted a lot of old ones. So again, I customized my brush palette as well. And here we are. So usually I press B and then I can just click on what I want. But if you want to, you can memorize hotkeys as well. So all these will have their own little like hotkeys. So there'll be like different combinations like B, M, V, for example. So there's M, and now it's gotten rid of everything that doesn't start with the letter M, and then you have these letters showing up again next to all the brushes. If I press C, now my mask circle brush is enabled, for example. Awesome. So those are like my top three that I really like going over. And then other things I like going over as well, this is more about sculpting, is how to appropriately use DYNAMESH. So people, especially new sculptors, you want to like dive in details right away, and you can't do detail work unless you have a lot of subdivision. So if I hold Shift F, not a hotkey or not like a time saver tip, just so something you know, it will show the subdivisions or like all the polygons. So if I increase the resolution, so just Control drag off will increase, will enact DYNAMESH, and now you can see it's really, really dense. So you don't really want to work in really high poly count when you're first starting your model, and I'm saving a file. Anyway, and the reason for that is because it makes it a lot slower to manipulate overall shapes. So as of right now, if I were to draw a line here, so wow, that was really laggy for some reason. Anyway, and now if I go through and hold Shift, which is my smooth brush, that is a good time saver tip. Always hold Shift to do smooth. It's like the only option. If you go into the brush palette and choose smooth, it will tell you to use Shift. Anyway, so hold Shift and I'm doing it. You really can't tell if anything is changing, and that's because there's so many polygons I have to manipulate. As you can tell, it looks really laggy right now. My computer's having a hard time. Anyway, so now I'm gonna do Control Z. And now that I'm in a lower poly count right here, waiting for it to be lowered, there we go, 2,000 instead of 2 million. I'll do the same brush strokes. There we go. So they look a lot, you know, less detailed and less crisp, but now if I go in to smooth them out, they disappear immediately. And you want that kind of quick freedom when you were sculpting out the general form of your model. So again, you could do this in DYNAMESH, or you could do it in subdivision levels as well. That's totally fine. I'm just a fan of DYNAMESH because I sculpt for 3D printing models, and using DYNAMESH will close holes, and that makes your whole mesh watertight, which is super important for 3D printing. All right. So again, ZBrush can be overwhelming because there's so many hotkeys, but they really are huge time savers. So a really quick recap is using Q and W to go in between draw mode and transpose mode. Holding spacebar brings that really nice little hotkey brush, and then B for your brushes. And then once you know all of this, my first tip will help a lot more where you want to customize your UI. Because I have all my favorite brushes, I just moved them right down to the bottom right here. If you really don't know what UI you want, kind of going back to that point, go to the upper right-hand corner up here. You can click on these little, it's just a bunch of little stacked boxes, and it will have different user interfaces laid out for you, which is kind of nice because you can kind of like play with what you want. This one right here is totally blank. I don't even know how I'd use this, but I've seen the professionals use it, and it's really cool. Anyway, the one next to it, just for colors, kind of just more of a fun thing. Another side note about configuring your ZBrush, you can change all of the colors as well. It's under eye colors, and then literally everything can be customized. I've seen some really awesome ZBrush configurations. Anyway, those are my main time saver tips. I hope they're helpful for you guys. I know it's a lot of information, but you'll get better at it. Just make sure you do it a little bit every single day, and before you know it, you'll make really cool stuff. So until next time.